Hey guys, how you doing? Afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. So I've just moved house. Anyone who's watched me before, see we've got a different backdrop. But as usual, my little ones, my little kids from Zimbabwe, up behind me to inspire me and keep my feet firmly planted on the ground. I've been doing a lot of work in the background with these retreats we've got coming up. Been talking with a lot of guys, been interacting with a lot of people who are interested. And there's a common theme that just keeps popping up again and again and again. And we can label it as procrastination, lack of action, laziness, common one, which is a semi-reasonable one, but when we dig deeper is financial, work pressure. We create all of these reasons. I call them resistance usually, but what I'm finding is people don't understand the word resistance. What I've come to understand over the years is there's one common denominator, especially in men, that holds us back, and it's fear. It literally is, what are you afraid of? And it's a funny thing, because if you were to ask most men this question, there wouldn't be many who would be very honest with you and tell you what they were afraid of, because there'd be a real fear of being perceived as weak. There in itself shows you their fears. And I think this is a thing that we as men need to start to understand, that our strutting around and walking around looking alpha and looking macho is actually just a form of suppression, and it is a form of denial. It is a form of numbing. The reality that I believe as men, we are probably more scared than we ever have been in our species' existence. We have the least reason to be, in all honesty. We don't have bears chasing us, we don't have predators. We are the apex and we are the alpha. Yet we are living with this hidden, insidious cancer that lies just underneath the surface and dictates and dominates the decisions that we do and don't take in our daily lives. Now, what I see with these retreats, and even coaching, but more so right now with these retreats, is an opportunity for people to break down barriers, smash through walls, and find a better version of themselves. We're offering sort of 3 to 4 days of intense action with a ton of integration and mindset work, which gives you a different perspective on who you are, the decisions you make and how they're governed, what in that subconscious mind of yours is driving the choices. And everyone's interested and everyone's keen, everyone wants to talk, no one wants to do it when push comes to shove. And the bizarre part about that is, having experienced these retreats and boot camps for myself, I've been in personal development as a professional for probably 6 years, and I've been studying in one form or another for probably over 20. What I get out of those 4 days is probably equal to a year of personal development work behind a desk. So I guess why I'm asking is, what are you afraid of? Is I guess I want to crack that outer shell that men carry, and I want to get us talking about the real deal here. So instead of using a bunch of cliches and a bunch of fancy words and trying to sound clever, I want to understand what men are fearful of. Why are we so driven by this 4-letter word that we can't even talk about it? Because if we weren't fearful, this would be an easy one for us to discuss. Yet no one wants to really go into it. We'll label it with all sorts of fancy names and all other sort of fancy cliches. You know, I looked at this and I was writing things down, and you know, what is your average male afraid of? And words just popped up. Things like connection. Men do not want to connect emotionally anymore, becoming more and more insular and more disconnected. What does that create? Bad partners, bad fathers, bad businessmen. Okay, are you surviving and getting by? Yes, I'm not doubting that your capabilities are not there. What I'm sort of offering here is a perspective on the difference between living and thriving, or just surviving. The other thing we're afraid of responsibility. It appears to me that men have also gotten to a point where we take responsibility when forced upon us. So we'll become fathers when we don't have a choice. We'll take a new job when we don't have another choice. Everything seems to be at a point where we've got our backs against the wall, which means we're operating from a place of pressure and a place of fear. When with responsibility comes immense challenge and immense growth, we seem to be shying away from that more and more. Fear of failure, another huge one, and one that personally has driven me probably through my 47 years of life. I didn't want to fail, so what did I do? I sought perfection. I overachieved. I pushed the boundaries beyond anything reasonable, driving myself let's just say semi-crazy in the process. You know, if anyone knows a little bit my story, I've only been back in the country about 15 years because I spent 15 years of it in the Middle East, gallivanting, and also 10 years in Africa. Doing what? Running from my fear. What was I doing? I was working with the sheikhs in the Middle East, putting on the largest events, and then when that got boring, I moved to the Middle East and started chasing elephants and lions around and becoming a conservationist. This was after spending time in the hunting industry, hunting those exact species. I'd love to say that it was all altruistic and all in the sense of adventure, and that I was just a nomad and I just wanted to taste the world for every experience it offered. But when I hit probably 40, I realised how full of shit I was, and I understood that I wasn't chasing adventure. I was running away from my fears. My fears were semi-justified. They'd been formed as a young child in my early teen years, but I'd let them grab hold of my life and dictate and control every step I took, all the way up until I hit 40. And that gives you an idea of just how powerful a suppressed fear is. Now, I can sit here and stand toe-to-toe with any male. I have no question about my masculinity, my manhood. I've done things that most people can only dream of. But when you strip it away bare and you're really honest about it, and you say, what was my motivation for doing those things? It was because I was scared shitless as a child and as a teenage boy. I built up a coping mechanism, which was to tell me to run head first into every opportunity I could, be better, be stronger, be faster. Why? Because it suppressed and dealt with that fear that I didn't want to admit, the fear that I didn't want to share, the fear I didn't want to talk about. And it's a 4-letter word that the more you say fear, the more it scares people. And the more people don't want to watch this. Men don't want to be confronted with the word fear. It's like other 4-letter words. It is that much of a... You'll watch men physically flinch when you ask the question, what are you afraid of? So I'm going to endeavour to sort of plug away at this and start talking about fear more, because we can call it all other sorts of labels. We can go, like I said, procrastination, lack of action, laziness, even our anger and our sadness. Where does it come from? Fear. Scared of the past repeating itself, scared of the unknown and what's coming in the future because we can't control it. And the simple truth of that, and the way to overcome it, and what I teach people and what these retreats will teach you, is overcoming that fear is in this moment right here, and in this one. And it sounds simple. It took me quite a few many years and quite a lot of mistakes to find it. But to overcome fear, to overcome its grip on us, to overcome the way it guides us silently from that little subconscious part at the back of your head there, is to bring you back into this present moment. So my aim, my job is to inspire people to talk. Yeah, is to share. Is to open up, to be vulnerable and be authentic. That's all I'm here for, and that's all I want to do. I've been there. I've done it. I made the mistakes. I paid the price dearly. Now it's my job to pay back and help you guys out there not be so scared of the word fear. Yeah, if you don't want to discuss it openly, all you got to do is press that message button. Always happy to share, guide you to a retreat, guide you to a boot camp, help you, if I can, even possibly on the financial side of it. The idea for me is to give my life and experience back to you guys so you don't have to make the same mistakes I did. And I'll do that humbly and with gratitude any day of the week, every day. Thanks for listening, guys, and I'll check in more now that I'm settled into my new digs.